You go.
Hi friends!
Hey everybody!
We're just thinking of you all today, and I know it's been a really tough, overwhelming, and trying time
it's
for
been hard
everyone,
for a lot of people.
us included.
Yeah.
And in this period of social isolation and, you know, quarantine, and all of us fretting and having a lot of anxiety over this pandemic, we just wanted to say that we are wishing that you guys are safe and that you stay safe and stay healthy, that we're sending all our love, and just wanted to share this clip because this song is very reassuring.
And it's a good promise of hope to sort of hold on to, because you know what, we're not as alone as we think. Usually that's the first thing that sort of gets to you, is that that's it, you're the only one sort of dealing with your home situation, and but if you really think about it, it's highly possible that there may be some folks out there who are feeling exactly the same thing, and now's a good time to sort of band together. And we've discovered that sort of here, where it's sort of in our little groups, who were like, hey, you don't have to like be as alone as you think, and in the event of an emergency or anything, you know, we sort of start, you know, reaching out and stuff. So hopefully this clip will sort of bring a little hope and a little joy, if anything novelty, to your lives, because we do know some of the people in the community, some internally, you know, amongst us, you know, they're not going through the easiest time. So hopefully this will take a little bit of the edge off.
All right, enjoy the video.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? So let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You'll be found.
Hi
Hey, everyone.
friends. We're here with another book haul.
Yes, we are.
Still have somehow managed to acquire a lot of books, even though we literally have not left our house in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, sure, trips to the grocery, but it's not like they sell
Yeah.
books at our
No.
local grocery.
Actually, we don't actually have any place that sells books by
That is
us.
true. We are, but thankfully, you know, folks are still delivering stuff.
And we still have a lot of stuff
And
that
I-
we did not share in March. So
That's right. So that's kind of bundled up together. So without any further ado,
let's kick things off with a couple of things that we got unsolicited from publishers. Just in case you guys are interested, we wanted to share them. So first we have a novel called The Girls at 17 Swann Street, which is by Yara's, I cannot pronounce that last name and I'm gonna butcher it. This is the story of a young woman who's anorexic, and she ends up going to a house at 17 Swann Street to live and try to make peace with and recover from her anorexia. So that's the story of that one.
awesome.
And then we just recently got The Voting Booth by Brandy Colbert in the mail. And this is about two teens who are all set to vote, and then shenanigans ensue where one of them can't. His vote isn't going to be counted, and so the other teen goes with him and they try to figure out how to get his vote counted. And it's
Super
a
important.
24-hour story. Very important book. I think a lot of teens are going to benefit from reading this, especially since this is an election year, so definitely looking forward to that. I think it's out in April. This one I did not expect to come in the mail either. We Are Blood and Thunder by Keisha Lupo. And it is about two girls who encounter each other on the borderlands of the forest that they are both from. One of them wants to get back into the forest. The other one is running away so she doesn't get killed for being outed as a mage, basically, in the story, is what it sounds like. So it sounds pretty good.
Interesting.
And then recently we also got Goodbye from Nowhere by Sarah Zar. This is about a teen boy who discovers that his perfect family life isn't as perfect as it seems. His mother's having an affair, his dad has a secret, and so it's an entire like summer story where he has been asked by his parents to keep his mother's affair a secret for I don't know what reason, and he is just seeing the ripple effect of keeping that secret on his family and friends. And the last book I need to mention is The Unwilling by Kelly Braffett. The tagline says, she has no name, no history, but a power the Empire has never known. So it's about a foundling, and she is raised together with, like, I think the heir of this kingdom. Don't know much more about it, but it does sound pretty interesting. I'd never heard of it before. It's blurred by Erin Morgenstern. At the top here, it says fantasy at its most sublime. So I'm actually interested in checking this one out.
A couple of science fiction books sort of made their way to us.
Our doorstep.
Our doorstep. We're going to start with Mark Recluse, a book called Ballistic, right? It's a book 2 of the Palladium Wars. I guess this is taking off of the events of the first book, which we have no idea what happened, but people made their choices, and now in this war, this is all sort of like the consequences. It stars, I say stars like it's a movie, but Aiden Jansen is
feel like most science fiction kind of feels
right.
Like
it just feels like a summer blockbuster, and so Aiden Jansen has to get a new identity, and it just after the sort of like the war, and then it's just sort of like hijinks and shenanigans from there on. And then we've got another book, well, less science fiction-y, a little bit more post-dystopian apocalyptic. I want to say called Ruthless by Sarah Tarkoff. It's a world ruled by a bunch of like a cult of prophets and such. It's a very, you know, handmaiden tale, but maybe minus the misogyny. I don't know. I wouldn't know. Either way, she sort of wants to break away from sort of like that, you know, theocratic like dynasty.
Oh yeah.
And the rebels are now deeming her like the prophet who is going to lead them into whatever. And so it's kind of like, I'm not my own myth, but what's going on? I just want to do the right thing. So it sounds pretty compelling. There is that. This is the other science fiction book. It's Now and Then and Every When by, I want to say, Riza Walker. Two time travelers.
Time traveling.
They sort of collide within sort of like a time stream, and nobody knows which one broke the timeline, and that's sort of like the so instead of like a will,
like a Doctor Who episode.
Right, instead of a will they won't they, it's like who done it, right? But you know, but
it's
which one of you broke it, and then they're trying to make sure that the past isn't erased because or
because
the future
of whatever
it is. So timey-wimey, very nice. This, on the other hand, is The Killing Fog by Jeff Wheeler. She awakened the dragon of the night. Now she is destined to defeat it. So she's a survivor of combat school. She's an orphan. Her name's Bing Mei, and she's part of a band of mercenaries. You know what? I think I'm kind of down for this one.
Yeah,
I'm kind of glad this sort of made it our way. It's part of the Grave Kingdom series, and you just like Waking the Dragons. Yeah, I don't know.
I was about to be like, I didn't realize there was
dragons
in that book.
Then from our lovely folks at Oni Press, The Sunken Tower by Tate Howard. It's set deep underground in a sunken city. A young wizard and his two companions embark on a journey to escape the clutches of an evil cult.
Sounds like a D&D campaign.
Classic campaign stuff right there. Speaking also of classic campaigns, it's called Scullion, A Dishwasher's Guide to Mistaken Identity. Now it's quirky and fresh as a D&D campaign.
There's a village where there's this great warrior, and there's going to be a wedding, and there are two human, like, regular people who are
scullery
like dishwashers
maids or whatever.
But then that great warrior, Rika, disappears, and a girl, one of the teens who is cosplaying her, gets mistaken for her. Oh, it sounds like shenanigans.
I love that so bloody much. All right, done. And then, of course, Fun World. It's about a conquering, like, sort of set of aliens. The tagline is, he who controls the churros controls the world. I am down for that.
I mean, churros are great.
That's by Yehudi Mercado. Their ship is called the Diva Storm 5. Yes. Instant.
Actually, we have a couple more things from Oni Press. There is this tiny, it's like a sampler version of A Quick and Easy Guide to Sex and Disability, which I think is like a pair to... There was another book about gender and
the Oni Press has a lot of these gender studies, gender identity type.
So there's this one.
Easily digestible.
I'm sure it'll be very informative, but the art style is also great. And then we have Dewdrop by Katie O'Neill, which is a children's book from the author of the Tea Dragon Society.
Ooh.
It's about, I don't know how to say this type of creature. How do you say that?
Axolotl?
Yeah.
Axolotl?
It's about an axolotl who cheers on his friends who are in the sports fair. That's all I needed to know. It's just really cute because
and axolotls are those like little things with like their gills out and they're tiny and they're pink.
The illustrations are though. Anyway.
Sold.
Very, very cute. Alright, I will continue with the review books trend. I actually have a physical version of Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. This is the third book in her Once Upon a Con series. Came with a cookie, can't complain about that. In case you couldn't already tell, this book is inspired by Beauty and the Beast. It is about this famous Hollywood star Vance Raines. He kind of crosses paths with this librarian or reader named Rosie Thorn. A rare book gets destroyed in this collision. And so they have to work together so that she can repay the debt caused by this rare book being destroyed, which I have loved the other 2 books in the series. They're very enjoyable, very fun, and they're also the perfect distraction for this time. And then right before social isolation started, I was able to attend this cocktail hour event with V.E. Schwab, which was really, really fun, and I'm so glad I got to go because I got to hang out with my friends and also chat with Victoria, and we went home with a copy of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which is her upcoming fantasy novel. And it is basically about this young woman who makes this sort of Faustian bargain where she gets to live forever, but everyone who ever meets her will forget who she is. The one life-changing thing, is that eventually at some point she meets this young dude and he actually remembers who she is.
Wow.
And that's where like things start to spiral. It sounds so good. I'm so excited about this. It's coming out in October, so it's a while away, but I am very much looking forward to reading it.
Every introvert and imagination cell in my body is like, you get to live forever and people forget you? It's amazing.
Other fun things, I got this tote bag, which says handsome, clever, and rich. It was a promo for
Sorry.
And it was a promo for the movie Emma. It also came with a notebook, which also says handsome, clever, and rich. And it came with this pretty copy of the Emma movie Screenplay.
Oh wow.
I have never actually read Emma, nor have I ever watched like a historical adaptation of it, but I do know the story because I actually watched this YouTube adaptation of it called Emma Approved. So it is about this girl named Emma, and she kind of fancies herself sort of a matchmaker. Except that Emma actually is a little bit oblivious about people's true feelings.
Oh,
so it takes like the course of the story for her to actually figure out the truth of things. But that's just my impression based on the YouTube adaptation. I have not read the classic. I have not watched any of the classic adaptations of it, but I am looking forward to reading it and to watching this particular adaptation because it looks really fun. Also promo things that we got. I have 2 of these now. One of them was lost in the mail originally, and then they both suddenly showed up. So this was like a promo item to announce the title of David Yunzek's book, which is Super Fake Love Song. And it comes with like this very cute like record.
Vinyl, wow.
It's very cute. The lovely people at Atria were kind enough to send me a finished copy of In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. This is the story of Danny Cohen, and she kind of has an idea of how her life is going to play out over the next 5 years. She's one of those people. She goes to sleep one night and she has this really vivid, lucid dream about where she's actually at in 5 years.
Oh.
And it doesn't involve the guy that she is in a relationship with.
That's not.
And so the story, when she wakes up, she's back in her normal everyday life, and so you kind of see how the next 5 years actually plays out for her, including the point where she meets the guy she saw in her dream. It sounds super basic in terms of plot, but I swear, like, I was not expecting to have it hit me as hard as it did. It's a really good story, and I would recommend checking it out.
Sounds very well executed.
I forgot to show this one in our last book haul. I don't know why for the life of me, because it's one of the books that I have enjoyed most this year.
Yeah.
This is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, and this came from Wednesday Book. This is the story of Pepper and Jack, and they happen to be part of 2 different familial business legacies that are both grilled cheese places, and they somehow wind up in a Twitter war over a particular grilled cheese offering. The other thing that you need to know is that they're also classmates at school, they're both on the swim team, and they kind of have been talking anonymously on this app that sort of disguises your identity. And so this book kind of follows their relationship as well as their relationships with the people around them, but most of all, it's just a story of them trying to figure out what they want to do going forward with their lives. They're both seniors in school as well, so it was really cute, really charming, would highly recommend. And then I most recently got First Come Scandal, which is a Julia Quinn novel. It's part of her Rokesbys series. I am not caught up on this series. I did actually look up who the characters were in this one because I'm kind of afraid of getting spoiled, but I immediately like snapped at the chance because Julia Quinn said on her Facebook page, and this is very important to me, that you kind of get to see like a baby Colin in this book, and Colin is my favorite Bridgerton, so
congrats.
Living. And then Penguin Teen was kind enough to send me a finished copy of Maria Lu's The Kingdom of Back. I've talked about this a couple of times on the channel already. This is the story of Nannerl Mozart and her brother Wolfgang Mozart and their imaginary Kingdom of Back, and how Nannerl just wants to be recognized for her own gift with music, and she meets an individual who promises to help her do that, but it might come at the sacrifice of some things that are very important to her, and so she has to kind of wrangle with that. And it's a really good story. I really enjoyed it. Would recommend checking it out.
Based off of actual Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's
yes, they did have an actual Kingdom of Back. Like they made that up for themselves. Then we have Thorn by Intisar Kanani. It says, 1 princess, 2 fates, 1 impossible choice. A princess with 2 futures and a destiny all her own. So Princess Alira has always longed to escape the confines of royal life, but when she's betrothed to the powerful prince, Kestrin, Alira embarks on a journey to his land with little hope for a better future. When a mysterious and terrifying sorceress robs Alira of both her identity and her role as princess, she seizes the opportunity to start a new life for herself as a goose girl. This is actually inspired by the Goose Girl fairy tale. I've actually read one other book that is like that, which is also called The Goose Girl, and I'm looking forward to this one just because I really enjoy that fairy tale, and I kind of want to see what this author has done with that. So thank you very much, Harper Collins, for sending me this finished copy. Cassandra Macky's digital haul.
I am living
the best digital
life I could possibly have. We'll get the comics out of the way. So we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot volume 2.
Oh, volume 2 is out.
Volume 2 has been out for a while-ish. I guess I think I was just waiting for, like, I always wait on Comixology sales.
Oh, that makes
because
sense.
that's my jam. Like, I'm digital and I'm cheap. Like, that's how that's how that works. In which case, it continues the adventures of Buffy, I want to say season 1.
Okay.
But in an alternate universe where insane things have happened and I still don't know how to feel about it. I am waiting for Angel, though, because that one's better. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got Avatar went on, not the comic publishers, the actual, like, franchise. Avatar: The Last Airbender went on a massive sale recently again, and so I was able to get a ton of books. One of them is Team Avatar Tales. It's basically a collection of short stories, like tiny, like almost 2-pagers, 1-pager, kind of, you know, like mini stories. There are a couple of gems in there, so unless you're a super fan, suggest you go grab it. If you're not so much a super fan, then maybe you want to put it down for a while because it's more the novelty. Like I said, there are a couple of good gems in there, but it's not like, oh my god, every story like shines. Some of it's just like, you know, if you guys have watched Inside Out and you remember like Goofball Island, some stories are just like that. And that's not bad. Especially if you're a fan. I'm just saying if that's what you're going for. There you go.
I'm so behind though.
The most recent Avatar comics, like the most recent trilogy, came out called Imbalance. I think they're really ramping up to the whole kind of Republic City kind of future set. Gotcha. So that's what that is, because we know from Korra, which is my next lead-in, you know, the world is sort of united and there is like a sort of major unified city. Korra went on sale, and so Turf Wars and Ruins of the Empire are now out. Some of the covers have Kuvira on them, and I'm just like, yo, she's still around. Let's see how that goes. Finally, I also, of the comics, got the 4th omnibus of Wicked and the Divine.
That's nice.
This is Karen Gillan's sort of award-winning kind of series where a bunch of gods are reborn every 90-ish years, I don't know. I say that as someone who just inhaled the thing, and I'm like, well, what happened? Very little, I don't care about the details.
I like how you say it with that voice.
It's really, like, because that's what, I don't have time for details, I don't care. Like, what's the lore? No, who did what? And that's fine. These gods keep getting reborn over and over again. They awaken, they're worshipped for 2 years, and then they die. Like, horribly, terribly. This is the story of, like, their, you know, like how that cycle sort of goes awry. And some of the gods were kind of cool. They look like, you know, like Inanna looks like Prince, and Sakhamet looks like Pink, and David Bowie, like Lucifer looks like David Bowie, Bale looks like Kanye. It's just this whole thing, right? This is the close to the series. I did not know that until... Oh. Yeah, I didn't know. So until I was reading through it, I'm like... And I was reading through it, I'm like, this is great. So you'll hear about that in What We Read, but highly recommend anyone... See, it's kind of like Neil Gaiman has his generation. He's still killing it dead to this day, Neil Gaiman, by the way. But then here are the next sort of like next wave of writers that sort of are in that vein.
Gotcha.
But are making a name for themselves. Karen Gillan, man. Totally awesome. And then for books, I want to say Marilu's stuff went on sale.
Oh, yeah.
And Alexa's like texting me, she's like, hey, you know, there's a huge Marilu sale. And since I'm digital and cheap, Legend, Prodigy, and Champion, plus Young Elite's Rose Society and Midnight Star went on a massive sale, and I'm just like, this cost of like a couple of books.
Meanwhile, I never talk about my digital purchases, but you can totally bet that I bought Wildcard and Warcross because I'm trash.
And yeah, she totally did. And then my most recent purchase on digital would be Altered Carbon, because I recently... No, it's actually a novel. Oh. There was a series.
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a series of Takeshi Kovacs novels where in this futuristic world, technology is such a way that, sort of like Dollhouse, you can save your entire consciousness and self into a stack. That's what they call it, which is embedded into your spine.
Basically.
If you're super rich, you get to have like a satellite beam your stuff up and back yourself up. So if anything happens to your sleeve, your human body, you can just sort of get beamed into another body and make it happen. And if you are poor, well, good luck on the kind of sleeve you're going to get, if you're going to get one at all. Takeshi Kovacs wakes up. He's the last envoy, one of the most powerful warriors the galaxy has ever seen. And he gets woken up out of stasis, wherever the hell they put him on ice, because a super rich guy that has been alive for hundreds of years, because that's what rich people do these days, they just live forever, wants him to solve his murder. Pretty cool. Right there from the start, it's like, so much science fiction! So
I like
much!
how you said that in
like,
that
it has to be that level, because I mean, the fact that there's like cloning, and then the stack, and then rich people, and then like live for hundreds of years.
It's not as complicated as it sounds.
Which why it makes it super awesome. It's super accessible, and then again, we have like literally like 50 years of science fiction to sort of like change the zeitgeist of. I mean, if you introduce this thing in like the 40s, they'd be like,
what?
But since there's so many composite thoughts and theories already, that makes Altered Carbon sort of like a nice little, ooh, slides down pretty nice. Like Yzma at her lab, if you pull the wrong lever. Anyway, over to you.
Okay, now we're gonna switch over to books that we physically bought. So, I'm gonna start with something that Kristen is probably gonna get very, very excited about. She is very excited about the fact that she finally convinced me to cave. I bought a box set that contains the first 3 books in the Wheel of Time series. So that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn. Kristen read The Eye of the World towards the end of last year and absolutely loved it. So much so that she managed to talk me into wanting to read it, and then continued to send me compelling reasons to want to read it until I finally was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the bookstore, I'm gonna get the first 3, and then we'll see what happens. The Wheel of Time series is a very, very long and expansive fantasy series that is as dense as Lord of the Rings, but it also has this like
I don't know. Don't want to start a war. Don't quote me on that.
It has like this interesting, very long, very convoluted timeline. I'm gonna link a video that Kristen sent me that's done by a YouTuber named Daniel Green. He has this like sort of summary of the history of the Wheel of Time up until this first book, and it's the thing that pushed me over the edge about buying it, because he just made it sound so fascinating.
Very nice.
It is much like most fantasy series. It is like a war between those in power and those without, those with certain kinds of power and those with the other kind of power, and it just sounds so interesting. And then I fell into a very deep historical romance hole that I haven't quite gotten out of.
Exhibit A.
Well, first we're gonna start with the very first one I bought, I think in early March. Once Upon a Tower by Eloisa James. This is part of her Fairy Tales historical romance series, and obviously it's inspired by Rapunzel. It's this duke who falls in love and he asks this girl to marry him. The girl doesn't say yes, it's her dad who says yes. And then she kind of panics and locked herself in a tower. I mean, if you're not sure you want to marry the dude and you kind of want to get out of it, I mean...
Fight or flight, right?
Obviously, it's a romance novel, so I'm assuming something is gonna happen between them that sort of thaws their feelings towards one another, and I am here for it.
Very nice, very nice.
And then, because I'm trash, I actually own the digital version and the paperback versions of this series, but they also got re-released with new covers, and so I ended up buying them. This is the Wallflower series. There are 4 books. First is Secrets of a Summer Night, and then you have It Happened One Autumn. You have Devil in Winter, which is my favorite, and this also is my favorite cover, and Scandal in Spring. And this series is about 4 friends who meet at a variety of balls during the London season because they're all wallflowers. And they all want to make successful matches, and so they decide to be extra supportive of one another, and this series basically chronicles each of their love stories. Also in March, I joined the historical romance readathon that was hosted by Jess from Peace Love Books, Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers, and Lisa from Remarkably Lisa, and I actually won one of their giveaways.
Yay!
So I ended up with a copy of How the Duke Was Won by Lenora Bell. The pleasure of your company is requested at Warbury Park. 4 lovely ladies will arrive, but only one can become a duchess. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I do enjoy historical rom-coms particularly, and this sounds like one of them. So
and who doesn't want to marry
definitely
up?
looking to check that one out. And then I have 2 Julia Quinn books. We have An Offer from a Gentleman, which I think I showed before, but this is the replacement copy because the other one had like a nick. And this is It's in His Kiss, which is the 7th book in that series. So these are part of the Bridgerton series, which I have been rereading and really enjoying this year. We have the Mina Lima edition of The Jungle Book, which I finally caved and got, because I'm like, if I'm gonna have this collection and I'm only missing 1 book, it would be kind of a weird travesty.
So this was the only one you were missing?
Yes. I'm not particularly attached to The Jungle Book, so I'm just like, I don't really need The Jungle Book. But then I was like, I can't have 1 missing if I'm gonna collect everything else. If you didn't know, the Mina Lima books, the reason why I love them so much is because, like I said, they have like illustrations and fun inserts that you can play with, and it just makes the reading experience a little more interactive, which is always a
kind of like Pop-Up Books meets Griffin and Sabine.
And the last 2 books are part of the same series, and I had to have them after I binge read the entire series and lost my mind. It is Soul of the Sword and Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa. This is book 2 and book 3 of the Shadow of the Fox trilogy, and they're so good. If you are an anime fan, you will definitely want to read this series because it is essentially an anime in book form. So the first book is Shadow of the Fox, and it follows a half-human, half-kitsune named Yumeko, and she is tasked with the head priest of the shrine that she has found refuge in because she was abandoned as a child, to take a piece of a very important scroll. She needs to take it to a different shrine because their shrine is attacked and everyone is murdered except her. Along the way, she meets a shadow warrior named Kage Tatsumi, and inadvertently convinces him to help her get to her destination, even though he is also after the scroll. The rest of the series plays out with them gathering more allies, finding more
that
enemies,
tension, though.
the battles, the world. It's so dang good. I did an entire blog post recommending animes that reminded me of it, and I couldn't be specific about why, but trust me, this series is so good, especially for anime fans, so definitely check it out.
I have some really fun comics in the physical form. It came in the mail because I saw it on Kickstarter. I thought, yeah, this is going to be awesome. We're going to try it. It's from Dream Fury Comics. They are issues 1, 2, and 3 of Crescent City Monsters.
Cool.
So what's fun is interestingly, my physical comic haul, the theme is that there is a Filipino artist sort of doing this. Of course, the writer, I believe this is Newton Lilavoie. Anyway, I'm butchering that, but he's awesome.
Something.
And it's basically it's set in New Orleans, I think. He's a jazz kind of person, but also sort of like a mage or a wizard or whatever passes for that. And so they're monsters, creepy crawlies, very paranormal, urban paranormal, kind of horror-ish, and sort of really cool. And Giancarlo Bernal is the Filipino artist who's doing this. So cool. Very supportive on Kickstarter. I've finally also, with the exception of book 4, finally gotten most of the books in the Trece series.
Filipino comic.
Filipino comic book written by Jetan, I think, is the writer, and then Carlo Baldissimo is the artist, I want to say. And Trece is basically, she's a detective in Manila, Philippines. She delves into like the paranormal sort of set of things.
Okay.
So it's all Filipino lore, but more on the horror side. So that seems to be a theme.
Well, you do like your horror comics.
I do like my horror comics. I really do. It made such huge waves. I think Netflix is trying to pick it up.
Yeah, I heard that.
To make it happen. I hope it does happen because it's really, really good. It's got that nice kind of Asian urban paranormal flavor. And speaking of culture, when I heard that these were coming, I thought, man, I got a copy of it. I thought they were going to sell it at the cons that I missed back in Manila, but I finally got some. It's a 20th anniversary copy of the Mythology Class
Still haven't read
series.
It, now,
it's a story about a bunch of kids who have a mythology class, and as the mythologies they're reading about begin to sort of like, as they read them, they start unfolding sort of in real life, and the end of the world starts to come. And again, this is kind of horror-ish because, you know, the bad guys here are kind of demonic creatures called aswangs. They're like vampires that are witches, that are shapeshifters, that are they're ugly. They're terribly ugly. Like there's nothing glamorous about these sort of like blood-sucking, like infant child eating things. No, they're just terrible, and they're swarming, and these kids have to fight them. Now, this was great. It made such huge waves back in Manila. Anybody who was anybody in the comics world sort of just said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. How he manages to balance characters of like 20 billion characters is great. When they announced the 20th anniversary, they said the next sort of sequel, volume 1 of 5, came out. It's called The Children of Bacala, also by Arnold Are. And I'm like, what's happening next? There's more? And because this was such a huge epic, me and my friends battle to save the world story. My favorite thing. And then to say that there was more, which they sort of set up that there could have been more. This is the more. And I am extremely happy about this and cannot wait to read it.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting.
But you know what else is exciting?
So much more exciting than what we already have? What are we actually garbage for, Lex?
I don't know, but we already have 3 different copies of it. 4 if you count Macky's extra digital copy of it.
And yet here we are. So let's start with this. Right?
Okay, while Macky was away, I got to go to a signing with this author, and I went with my friends Rachel and Kristen and DJ, and we had the best time listening to this author talk about this book and this series.
So jealous.
And she signed it. As you can see, it's Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, which is her latest Shadowhunters novel. It is part of the Last Hours series, and we're not going to really talk about what Chain of Gold is about because I feel like we've talked about it enough on this channel.
There's like links and
you can listen to like
YouTube,
the podcast.
There's an entire podcast devoted to just Chain of Gold, guys.
But suffice to say, I think for me and Macky, this could easily be and probably will be our favorite Shadowhunters series
book of all time,
possibly. And so the event was really fun, and we got to do that. And then our Waterstones Rune edition came in as well. It's purple with the sword on it,
so
and it's
pretty.
Beautiful.
We're gonna assume this is Cortana, right?
Yes, I'm gonna assume it's Cortana because that's, I know, slightly dinged, but that's okay.
It's exclusive.
Yeah, so it's very exciting to have this part of our collection. Still looking for Lady Midnight. One day we'll find it.
One day.
And we also got the special LitJoy Crate edition of the book. The book itself is actually the same like ordinary US copy, so someone is going to win it from us with a signed book plate, which will be coming.
We are keeping the box though, because...
But the reason we ordered it was because of this slipcase. As you can see, it's a specially designed slipcase for the book. On the side, it has Cortana, where it says, I'm Cortana of the same steel and temper as Joyce and Durandal. And then the back has a quote on it. We do not get to choose when in our lives we feel pain. It comes when it comes, and we try to remember, even though we cannot imagine a day when it will release its hold on us, that all pain fades, all misery passes. Humanity is drawn to light, not darkness.
In which case, the signed Cassandra Clare book is going to go into that box, and we are giving away this author plate.
The book plate, and then you also get the character cards for The Last Hours, which we showed in one of our book hauls. This extra set came from the signing as well.
We shall give it out as well.
The Ledger Crate edition also came with this art of James Herondale, and it also came with this letter. This is a letter from Lucy to Cordelia.
Oh, wow.
Which I love those two. Their friendship is like one of my favorite things about the series.
I have so many thoughts about that friendship.
Yeah, so we are very excited about this. So that was the end of our book haul. I don't know, digitally Macky will probably have a couple of things in April, but I don't actually know if I'm going to be getting a lot of things in April. We'll see.
That's true. I mean, things are slowing down.
Yeah, I do want to support
rightfully
indie
so.
bookstores,
Flatten
though.
the curve.
So maybe I'll place an order. We'll see. For now, we hope you enjoyed this book haul. If you're excited about any of the books in it, or curious to know more about like the Filipino ones that Macky mentioned,
Yeah,
definitely
happy to
drop
chat
us
us
a comment.
up. Yeah, that's super cool.
We'd love to chat about books and stuff, and we hope you guys are all well, and we'll see you guys with our next video next week. Bye.
Bye.